Hey guys, this is Mike Ahmed here. I'm an infielder in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, here to do a quick analysis on one of our products on ProsKnowBest. So I'll get right into it here. I'm going to let the video run through a couple times so you guys can get a feel for it visually. I'll go through it regular speed for first a couple times, and then I'll get into the slow motion version. Here's swing one. I'll play it again. And I'll do a slow motion. We'll do half speed first. And then we'll go 1/8 speed so you guys can get a feel. Slow it down a little bit. Okay, so now that you guys have seen the swing, I'm just going to highlight a few of the strengths and a few areas that can be improved upon. Okay, so we'll touch on the strengths right away. Number one is the lower half. I think he does a pretty good job of using his legs. We see him fire before the hands go to the baseball, which is really important. We want the lower half to start first, and that will aid in creating our direction and power through the baseball. All right, so I'll slow it down. I'll start it over again, and I'll slow it down so you guys can see what I'm talking about. We'll go to quarter speed here. And I'll slow it down. Alright, so here we go. His foot's down. Hands are working back. And you notice his back hip starting to make that move toward the baseball, his hands staying back. And now his hands will get through the zone and the barrel will get through the zone. Okay, so another strength that we're seeing here. We'll redo that swing again. We want to talk about being on plane with the baseball. We can see it does a pretty good job of that here. We want to be on plane to match the plane of the pitch coming in, so we want that barrel to meet up with that baseball with the best chance to succeed. All right, and that's going to be that barrel coming through the zone in the same plane as that pitch coming through the zone. All right. A lot of times we're going to hear we want to swing down. We want to bring that knob to that baseball. That may work for some players, but generally we want to stay away from that thinking in order to create that good plane with our barrel. Okay, and we'll run through that swing right here, taking a look at the plane of the pitch, the plane of the barrel. Pause it here. Notice that barrel gets on plane back here, and it stays through that hitting zone, through contact, and out. And one more thing that I want to touch on, you'll notice that barrel is finishing up, right? So, talked about before, knob down to the baseball. A lot of times, what's going to happen is that bottom hand, is going to take over, and we'll see a lot of times that barrel is finishing down toward the ground instead of up. So, it does a pretty good job here of finishing up through the baseball and getting that barrel on plane with the pitch coming in. Okay, and one more thing I want to touch on, I think he does a pretty good job in this video, is using his eyes. What I can see is there's great intent with his eyes to stay behind the baseball and keep his eyes down through contact. This is obviously going to help us be a little more consistent in recognizing pitches and getting our barrel there. So I'll run through the swing again and let you guys see how that works. Okay. So we'll go through the load. We'll pause it here. Now his foot's down and just start tracking that baseball in. Watch how his head and eyes start working down to that baseball here at contact point. It's going to be behind and through that. Alright. Okay, so we'll move on now to some areas of improvement. First one is super important. We talk about our direction. So we can see here, I'll start it over once more. We can see here that he's going to start with a good direction with his front stride foot. So that foot's going to stride and get down. Good direction toward that pitcher. Alright, he's making a move to attack the baseball, which we like. But one thing that we'll be able to notice, and I'll highlight this right now, we'll go back to his starting position. And we'll go back to when his foot lands. I'm going to draw a line from behind his head and behind his back foot. Alright, so I want you guys to pay attention to where these lines are now and where the back of his head and the back foot ends up. Okay, so I'll let it play through. We'll go 8th speed. I'll let it play through and you guys can see. So finish the swing right there. Now I'm going to draw lines again. Do it here. We'll do this in red. Okay, there and there. Now you guys can notice a difference. Both his head and his foot work backward. Okay, we want to think about when we're hitting, making a strong, aggressive move toward the baseball. Now that's not to say we want to lunge or be super aggressive and end up on our front foot, which is not the case. We want to obviously be balanced through our swing. But at the same time, if we're working backwards, right, we're losing that force going through the baseball. So we're going to lose force, and we're also going to lose direction. We want the energy to be going through the baseball instead of back or working against our own body. Okay, so again, we don't want to lose, to reiterate, that energy that is spent going backward is really end up to be wasted. And so instead of talking about what not to do, right, let's talk about what he should do. So let's restart it, get back. So this is the two starting points right here. At no point do we want the head or the back foot working behind these two lines, okay? So as we work toward the baseball, we want to think about being aggressive and making that move toward the baseball, okay? So when we end up, we stride, get into a good position here. We'll make this blue. That line is right here, which is good. Back foot's going to stay right there. Now obviously when we swing, we want that back hip to drive toward that baseball, to and through that baseball, okay? So if we see that back foot moving backwards, we're not getting that push, that drive through the baseball, okay? So right now his head's in a very good position. His eyes are locked in, and that baseball coming in, he's recognizing it. Now from there, we're going to swing, and our eyes are going to stay behind the baseball. If we end up working back, we're going to manipulate our eyes and how we see that baseball coming in, okay? So we want to be in a strong position the whole time. Once we get that foot down, our body is not going to move. We can pretend like there's a spike going from my head down to the ground. And once that foot lands, we can't push back or forward. We can only rotate around and through the baseball from that point. Okay, and one more thing I think we can work on here. Well, actually, we'll have two. What I want to talk about right now is some pre-pitch rhythm. So let's reset this, go through that swing. Okay, so the pre-pitch rhythm. In order to have good timing, we want to think about having some rhythm. Okay, that's going to help us be on time with the baseball and help us sync up all our movements. Okay, so some controlled movement will not only help us sync up our own swing within itself, but it's going to help us be on time with that ball coming in. Okay, so this pre-pitch rhythm, it's some sort of movement that allows us to be comfortable and fluid in the box, and it's going to help and work right into our load. It's going to feel like one continuous fluid motion through our swing. Okay. One other thing it will do is going to help us relax. So if we're standing in the box very still and stiff and rigid, it's not going to help us going through our swing, right? It's going to carry, those aspects will carry over into our swing. We want to think about being loose and relaxed, allowing the barrel to work through the ball easily. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I mean by having some pre-pitch rhythm here. So we'll go through full speed, and now we'll go again. Now let's go through slow motion here, 8th speed. So we can see how there's not much movement here, and once that pitch comes, his hands go straight back, and he's striding. So what I'm getting at here is, instead of being in one still position, we want to have some little move with our hands, or even our lower half, to sort of help our body get into a rhythm and time up when that pitch is coming. Okay, and one last thought here. We want to talk about how the barrel works through the zone. It's super important that we think about keeping that barrel tight against our back shoulder. Now this is not an easy thing to do, but the tighter we keep the barrel to our back shoulder, the shorter our swing will be, and we'll have better direction as well. So we will be able to get and stay through the baseball quicker instead of being out and around with our barrel. Okay, so we'll go through this slow motion again. I'll walk you through. Our foot's down. Now once our hands start coming forward, notice how that barrel is a little bit away from that back shoulder. So I'll show you right here, that back shoulder right there, and I'll draw a line for where that barrel is, right about there. Okay. So what I want to see, what is generally a little bit more helpful, take that angle off. Instead of the angle of the barrel being here, we want to think about it being a little bit tighter to that back shoulder. We like to see that barrel angling up this way instead. Okay, so one thing we can talk about is keeping that knob pointing toward the catcher through our load. Right? If we can get that good barrel angle, it's excuse me, it's going to stick to our shoulder a little bit, and then it's going to allow us to be a little bit shorter to the baseball and through the baseball. Okay, guys, just to wrap up, there's two pretty important ideas that I want you guys to stick with here. One is timing. The way we create timing is with a little bit of rhythm through our pre-pitch routine. So we get in the box, we get in our stance. We want to have some sort of rhythm to allow our swing to be synced up with itself and to be able to time that pitch coming in. Okay, so that timing is super important. And again, number two is going to be our direction. We want to be thinking about working to and through that baseball, right? Staying behind it, but not working backwards or not working out toward the first base box or the third base box, okay? Thank you guys for stopping in. Thank you guys for checking in. Hope you guys learned something today. Thank you.